Welcome back to Franchise Wars, reaction, recap, and review of Young Justice Season 3. This time the episode, Another Freak. Now, this one's an interesting two-parter in some ways. It's two stories that seem unconnected until they suddenly do crash into each other. The first part is Halo and Forager going to school, which is very interesting, especially for fans of Scott Snyder's Batman run. And the second part is a recreation of Cyborg's origin, this time redone for Young Justice. It does mix some of the stuff that Jeff Johns added into it, but it did it better than he did. That's how I'm calling it, at least. You see, the first thing we see is young Vic Stone going to talk and complain to his dad. Like you kind of saw at the end of last episode, his dad's missed out on his football games and just kind of ignored his son a little bit too much. Vic is very angry, very hostile, but eventually calms down, kind of like bites his tongue, starts to leave the room, and accidentally hits a cord attached to a machine that has been sparking for about 2 episodes now. The machine explodes. That's the end of the teaser. Next thing we know, we're seeing the guys back at the Happy Harbor house, where we get to see exactly how Geoforce has become predictable to Forager. You see, Geoforce is angry, but then Forager says this.
Leon Markov never calls anyone.
Forager should mind Forager's own business.
Leon Markov got up wrong on the side bed this morning. But Leon Markov's attitude will soon change.
Oh? And why is that?
Recognized. Tigress B07, Halo G0.
Why, indeed.
Yes, Forager is now officially a Halo and Geoforce shipper, so I guess the fans on Tumblr will be very happy with that. Now, we also find out what identities they're going with. Last episode, Halo decided her new identity would be Violet Harper, so she's just ready to go to school, and she's excited, and to help Forager go to high school. Okay. They've given him another one of those charm bracelets like they gave Tigress in Season 2. This makes him a fairly rotund but kind of nice-looking guy who's, it's called Fred Bug. Fred Bug with 2 G's. Seriously, it's a whole thing for him. Now, that's a hilariously cute scene. It ends with them getting into Megan's car, and we find out that not only is Snapper Carr the new principal at the high school, but Megan's the guidance counselor, which kind of fits the whole, mental powers thingamajig. And then we get to see what Cyborg's body's like before he becomes Cyborg. Now, when you watch some movies and TV shows and he gets blown up or whatever, and there's only part of him left, but at least it's sanitized so it's not so disgusting.
Come on, let's move that off him. Careful now.
Are we going to see this? Oh, yeah, oh, wow, damn, holy crap. Yeah, not gonna lie. That's the grossest thing they've shown on this show by far. Now, it kind of works to show just how far gone Vic is, so when his dad grabs the father box, the evil computer from Apocalypse, and basically plugs it into his chest to try and save him, you understand how that's, like a desperation move. But still, we saw his heart beating, and he had his face like that guy in Breaking Bad with the skulls exposed. That was metal. Anyways, back at high school, Fred Bug with 2 G's, seriously, he's going to keep doing that the entire episode, and Violet decide to introduce themselves to their class. And they are clearly going to be in trouble because they're way too enthusiastic, way too happy, and you can tell that neither of them have been in this kind of social situation before. However, a certain character joins them. You see, if you're a fan of Scott Snyder's work, you may have remembered the character Harper Row. She's here, and she has fun being their friend.
Hey, who's Fred Bug?
Fred Bug with 2 G's is Fred Bug with 2 G's. He is Fred Bug, and I'm Violet.
Harper.
Correct.
What?
I'm a Harper.
I thought you were Violet.
Yes.
So which is it?
Do I only get one? One hardly seems sufficient. Why then would Fred Bug with 2 G's be called Fred
Wait,
Bug
hold on.
with 2 G's?
No, don't apologize.
Oh,
Okay, stop. So you're Fred Bug with 2 G's. Got it. And she's?
Violet Harper.
Violet Harper. There we go. My name's Harper Row.
Fred Bug with 2 G's and Violet Harper are very happy to meet Harper Row. You can be our first friend.
Oh, I'm gonna like you too.
So yeah, that's now a whole adorable new little chemistry thing going on here, and arguably a better way to sell Harper Row as a character than the way that Scott Snyder originally introduced her. because he was kind of just trying to make do for not being able to use Stephanie Brown or Cassandra Cain, and we've already got them. Now, the next scene we see is Vic as the machine, the father box, starts to actually transform him, starts to curl around his body with little wires and stuff like that. While at the same time, Violet starts to feel uneasy, as though she can almost sense that machine. That's important for later. So, Geoforce, the guy who's still desperately looking for his sister, decides this is the right time to go ahead and sneak into Nightwing's computer system and try and hack it. Which, stupid because this is Nightwing. Literally, basically, Geoforce enters 3 code words. It recognizes that it's Brian Markov trying to get a hold of information that Nightwing doesn't want him to have. Nightwing shows up, and they have a brief confrontation. Not a big fight or anything like that, but Brion kind of righteously expresses why he's angry, and then Nightwing does some psychological stuff to kind of peel that away to figure out that it's not so much that his sister's gone, that she's somewhere. It's that he's lost everything, including his route home. So we get this scene instead.
Patience. What is the magic of patience? You preach patience. My brother preaches patience. Once upon a time, my parents sing the same song of patience. Where did all that patience get any of us?
That's actually a decent point.
Okay. Yeah, now I get it. See, I think we're doing everything we can to find Tara. So is this really about her? Or is it about Markovia?
What?
You've been online every day, every hour, obsessively following your brother's every move.
You hacked my phone?
Stay focused, Brion. Right now,
Talk about that later.
to make. Are you a man perpetually looking back at what he's lost? Or a man looking forward to what he might become?
That's a pretty good line. Back at the lab, Vic finally wakes up in his new cyborg body. It's a pretty withdrawn and actually kind of nice design for him. He's only got one robotic arm, kind of one robotic upper chest, and just the robotic part of his face up here. So it's nice and actually kind of, restrained. Unfortunately, this new form comes from a father box, from Apocalypse, a place ruled by a guy who calls himself Darkseid. So as you can imagine, this does not go well.
There was an explosion. Explosion? I want you to stay calm. I believe you're out of danger now, but you are dying, son. And I had to save you. I had to do whatever I could to save you. What have you done to me? You ruined me. Murdered my future. Now, I'll murder yours. Victor, wait. Vic, you gotta call.
So yeah, we have Evil Cyborg, which is actually pretty good, old-fashioned Frankenstein-y, It's alive, it's alive, oh my god, it's alive, it's killing us! But we cut back to the school, and these scenes happen.
You don't have to say it with 2 G's every time. I mean, you can if you want, but it's optional.
Fred Bug with 2 G's can just be Fred Bug?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, just being Fred Bug is a great relief to Fred Bug.
Cool. See you later.
Cool. Fred Bug with optional 2 G's. We'll see Harper Row later.
Loving those 2.
I still feel very weird. Oh, Violet Harbor is indigo.
That's a new one.
Violet
She's
Harbor
the mother
Omega
box.
Photo. Violet.
Yeah, this is the moment it clicked for me. I had been listening to that Whelmed podcast, which is very good for any fans of Young Justice, and they pointed out the same thing. Way back in episode 2, Connor had stumbled across a mother box in the bad guy's hideout in Bedlam, and he noticed it had been taken apart. And the idea of the mother box and father box is they're sentient computer machines, so taking apart the mother box meant that it released its spirit. And that's what's inside Violet. It's why she doesn't recognize her old life at all, and why she seems to lack any social knowledge. So, yeah, she's mother box powered. And the reason she's been having stomach pains is because of the father box that's making Cyborg. They're like reverse twins of each other. So we get this scene.
Where am I?
Mother box versus father box. They don't get along.
I'm not an abomination. I'm a freak. But that's a good thing. My new friend Harper said so.
Then your friend was wrong!
And your soul can't form torch at all.
Yeah. She's totally mother box.
Wait for it.
Yes, she basically reinstalled Cyborg's hardware with the father box programming taken out. So yes, Vic is now in control of himself. And still livid at his father, just not murderous. Now, Dad wants to hang out and try and experiment on him, but Vic has some rather visceral reactions to that idea.
Yeah, you love that. I'd be your latest lab experiment. It's not like that. This was the only way I could save you. Save me? You turned me into a freak! You are not a freak, Victor! Not a freak? You think I could go back to school like this? You think they'll let me catch a football with this thing? Do you have any idea what you've done to me?
I'm a freak. But that's a good thing.
Wait, can I go with you?
I suppose so.
So yeah, the Outsiders now can include the original Cyborg as their team member. It's a pretty good episode overall. I really like the way they handled Vic Stone's transformation here. It is better than the way it was handled in War. I just think that because of the long-form storytelling they can go with, they can afford to slow things down and really kind of hit the actual humanity of it better than, say, Jeff Johns could when his story was clipped from already being a pretty short, 12-issue run to being just like, a 45-minute segment of a movie. This is overall still pretty good. I can't wait to see more of this season, and I am going to try and get it all uploaded before the weekend. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. See ya.